Well, I'm finally getting it done, guys. Man, we got a bunch of rain down here last night. I mean, a bunch of rain. And everybody's been bugging me, so I figure I better fix it. I got a tire. So, swap out this tire here. Tire's still good. The rim got bent a little bit. So when we was moving it, she kind of started pss, 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 pss. So I'll just rip it off and we'll put that one on there. Hopefully it works out. Here's what we got going on today. I got the tire changed, flat tire. In that box is the bottom half of that seat up in there. You can't see it in there, but I'll show you real quick what Josh is working on this 545. The bottom seat's all busted up, so we got a new one for it. And see how she's got to have the wood there to hold it up.
Barack Obama,
so we got that bottom section in there. The seat top pops off. Josh is addicted to Glenn Beck, so that's courtesy of Josh. He's fixing that.
Glenn Beck's awesome.
He likes Glenn Beck. We're all gonna die. Okay. Got that tire fixed. What we're working on next is I gotta weld on this back yoke. The cover fell off. So Paulie's cleaning it out. But you see that chain dangling there? I gotta weld a new piece of steel on that. See how that's got a nice beautiful cover? That one's broke off. And there's your foil chain back in there for the first drum. Those are the ones spinning, so that's what the wood's looking at when it's going through. Got to weld a new cover on there. Paul's getting this cleaned out so we can get the tool truck backed in over here, do some welding, get that fixed up. It's a nasty day out today. Foggy and misty and wet. I'm soaked from my knees down, but that's today's project. Hopefully get that stuff fixed and going. Just a day of wrenching. We got all our wood in, so we'll just start wrenching, working on stuff. Wait for Paul to get that cleared out, and then I gotta start disconnecting the computers to weld on it, because you gotta disconnect all that stuff. So see how it goes. So when you weld on this, I gotta blow this thing off again, but when you weld on it, you gotta unplug all your computer stuff. It's not like the old chipper where you can just start welding on it like crazy. You've got to unhook all this. Save your computer. We don't want to hurt the computer at all. So this is the process you got to go through. And you got to unhook both motors up there. It's a little bit of work, but this whole computer section here, they don't make it anymore. I was talking to a guy from Moorbark, and they switched to a newer model, and to replace this one can cost a pretty penny because it's all has to be switched over. So I don't take any chances with it. I just go through this step every time. The only thing is you got to have everything where you need it. This spout's got a hole in it, so me and Paulie just put it up there and hooked the chain to it so we can weld on that. So once you're welding on it, you can't start it to move anything or do anything with it. You're kind of stuck in a pickle. So you got to have everything set up, ready to go. So that's that there. And then this is my clutch controller here for that mess. You gotta unplug this too. Got both of those. And I gotta come up here and do this. Mold it up here. Shut my powers off to these motors. And do this one. Then I'll run up and do the V12. It's got a couple of them just like this. You don't want these computers to get jacked up while you're welding on them. So that's what you got to go through at time, but now you're stuck in a pickle. You can't do nothing with it. Moving it. It should be all great. This one here, you look, everything's wet down in here. This one, and this one. This one's leaking here. These two are leaking at the tank. These four we've changed off this section of the pumps. Now we gotta change these three. For some reason the ends start leaking, and it doesn't matter what you do, you can't get them to stink and stop. We've cut them off and pushed them forward and tried that. That don't work, so right now we're just gonna swap these three out, and it goes just from the tank right to here. This is one side of your clutch. This one goes on the back side of your clutch, this pump here, and then this pump and this pump are actually run off from both. So, yep, get these suction lines tore off, and a couple of them are leaking bad at the pump, just a steady drip, make a mess of everything. So we don't want that no more. I'm tired of dealing with it, so we'll get these swapped out.
You guys ready?
For what?
Lunch or whatever.
Lunch? Where's Paul taking us today? Chinese?
Ponderosa in a different city.
Ponderosa. They go to drive an hour away. Now, I got a little bit of issue. I had an issue with this. Since we've gotten off the bottom of this tank is an absolute mess. Warburg did a decent job of keeping it all straightened out. There's one problem, and that's the hose I'm working on right here. This one right here, if you go to shut the valve off, it hits these hoses, and that's been like that since we've had this machine. So it's close. I just got to move them hoses around and get that valve to shut off, and then once I get the suction line off, obviously it's not a big deal, but man, it's been an issue since we've had this. And sometimes we blow a hose anywhere on this thing and it's hard to, it won't stop. And I think that's our one issue there. It's the only one that won't shut off. So I release the suction lines up there so I get a little more space. It's work though. I'm sweating a hog. It's starting to get humid out. That's not fun. It's just a wet nasty day out. So we get her straightened out. There's my new suction lines there. I got the top one off, but the next one that's on top is that one right there. So Warburg's did a really good job in this machine. Really good, but if that's the biggest problem we have is that thing right there, I guess it's a beautiful machine. So it's not bad, just frustrating. But there's a lot going on in this thing. A whole lot going on. So we'll get it straightened out, but that's the issue I'm working on now. See if he did it right. Oh boy. All nice and pretty. Air ride's working again. Airbag was blowed out and then the brackets broke. But no excuses now, Josh. Cleaned all of his windows. Look at that skitter there. Boy, oh boy.
Look at the dust coming out of that new filter.
Out of the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of dust. So, got the seat fixed. No complaining.
How do you turn it up? It is.
Welding the top of that. And then it's got a curve that comes down and protects that feed wheel chain so that feed wheel works. And we got to weld the top of it. Then you get the torches out, heat that metal up, and slowly bend it up and around, and then weld that edge all the way down through. So right now he's just tacking that top, getting that top good and welded so that we can start bending it and heating it. It takes a little bit of time and it's pretty fussy, so it's a lot of work. When it's not in there, sticks get in there behind that chain and pop the feed wheel chain off. And that first feed wheel does a lot of the work to get the trees in. The second that chain comes off, I know it in the cab because the wood just stops and doesn't go through. So, pretty important to get that chain protected. We got them all on there. Looks all pretty up in there now. Put all new ones on there. It's raining out now. We're all soaked. Shut that wreck off. Smart elk. Got all new ones on down there. She is all good to go. And put them up through here. But seem to be at these ends were all leaking. In here. And in here it was real bad. So we got them all changed. Now we have all new suction hoses for up here. And there was a couple bad leaky ones down in here. This one, that main one right there, was leaking real bad. A couple of them were leaking bad. There we go. So, yeah, that's kind of a mess. In case you were wondering, here's your hydraulic tank. It's anyways, it's 300 gallons. These are your suction lines. Your fluid comes up into here in all these hoses, and each of them go to a pump. Each runs something different, so that's how it kind of works. And it takes this suction line here, creates pressure and pumps it out of here. And this is the one for the radiator fan there. It's reversible and stuff, but this is your line going to that. So each one goes to something, but these suction lines, all they do is carry fluid from the tank to your pump, and your pump gets pressure, sends it through your lines to, this has got a junction box way down there, and them hoses coming up out of there, and then that go into your motor and make your fan turn. So down there in the bottom, there's a little electrical solenoid that shoots back and forth that can rush fluid one way or the other, depending on what I tell it to do. And it's also registered every hour to do it. And that'll kick the fan the other way and blow the crap off the backside, any dust or bark or debris, shoots it off the back. So then sucks back in clean. So that way there's never any stuff on the backside of that radiator to make it overheat. So, but that's how this works. Well, the welding's complete, eh, Paul?
Yep.
Kinda, sorta.
Roughed in.
Roughed in. Paul's cleaning this wreck. That's a good project for next week, huh? Clean the toolie. But that's what she looks like there. Kinda how it worked out. Worked out really well. And wood can get in there and cause you a mess. And if that top one ain't spin, see how it's kind of got the serrated edge on it? That one really bites. Especially when I can put pressure on it down or pick it up. So, what it's got is, see, it's got a chain on this side. It's got one motor on that side. And one motor on that side. And what happens is if that chain falls off, your hydraulic pressure is going to go to whatever is easiest. So this motor will sit here and turn all day long. And if that chain falls off, this one won't turn at all. So your feed wheels just sit there and free spin. So that's how it works. But that welding project is kind of complete. We didn't get to the other welding project, but we'll do that Monday, I think he said. And that'll work great. All it does is protect that so the wood doesn't get up in each side. You don't want wood getting up in there. So you got to have chains or something in there to turn that thing. So, and this being the throat of the chipper, it's got to be, it has two chains for more power. You want the most power because that's going to be grabbing the whole tree. So the other two upper ones that are in the chipper, them only have one chain on each side. They're not using as much force. So that's how that works. And then here's our other welding project that we're going to get to Monday. See a little hole there? spout, you can see this light on the other side. What's happened is I've blown so much chips through here, it's starting to wear everything out. You can see there where it's wearing out. And what it's done is it's wore out right there. On that corner it wore a hole through. So that's what all this stuff is. I got dust flying out of there. And it's amazing, but that wood, after so many chips getting thrown through there, it'll start wearing through all this steel. And I've already welded. I had somebody weld on that once. Morbark welded on when they're here working on something else. Now it's got to be welded on again, so we'll work on that another, probably Monday. Got her held up with a chain so she don't come down. I still got it, the computer's all unhooked in here. I just shut her up for time being so nothing gets messed with. So, but that's the welding projects on this that are yet to be completed. Now you can see that little sunlight shining through. Now it's quiet. Josh shut his skidder off. He likes to leave it run. See that hole there? It's about the size of a 50-cent piece. And there's just dust flying out there all the time. Getting everything a mess right here. See how it's kind of just garbage all over in there? We'll get that fixed though, but yeah, you can see right there. She's wearing that steel right out, and wood chips. All these wood chips will just wear that right out. Even steel can't hold up to wood. It has her way with her eventually and wear holes right in there. But that's the welding project. This back turned out real good. I'm real happy with it. I think that's going to hold up real good for us. And then I see that's got a rip in it. But those are actually replaceable. Now what that does is it forces the wood to hit your feed wheels. And this one and that one. It doesn't want wood riding right here because then you can't pull it in and then it's going to ruin these edges. So I'm going to have to do some work on that. You can see right here. See them 4 bolts right there? There's actually 6. Those 6 bolts are what holds that piece on. So one day here we'll have to rip that off and rebuild that one because we don't want that getting busted off and then wood getting jammed in there and screwing everything up. Because when you're up in there, it's hard to tell what's what down here. Unless you run it for a while, then you can figure out where all the middle's at. And I've said that before, that bolt up, that nut that's welded right there, that's your center of your feed wheel. But when wood's coming out and it's not pulled up to chipper right, and it's, you got to work on it to get it in there. It can be a hassle, but if everything works good, you can put out quite a bit of wood. And we did good this week. We got all our wood in for a week and 3 days, so we hustled. It was some 8, 9 o'clock nights getting home, but what do you do starting at 6? You gotta do what you gotta do. So now we're kind of just maintenance and everything. We'll get her all straightened up. Should be. Oh, she wrote today. She's raining out now, and it's a mess. It's just a muddy mess out here. It was nice out here before, and now it's not so nice. Hickory chips. Boy, popular, hearty, and strong. Wonder what them cottonwood chips will taste like.